3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. We're back, and we did the outtakes last week. We hope you enjoyed that. That was 5 years of outtakes, if you can believe that. We were just kind of shocked when we were thinking about it, and we had all that footage, and we said, well, let's just throw it up there. So we hope you enjoy it. My name is Fred Bell. I'm the vice chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Today, Jason has outdone himself with one of the most ridiculous bucket hats. It's actually webbed on the inside. I'm not even sure what this is. Maybe carry beer in this on the other side, but...
You want to make an impressive barbecue entrance? Be the belle of the beer fest? I got you, baby. This hat makes a statement.
We'll toss that off to him, and that goes to the kids in the education program. Today we're talking about the Eurofighter, the Typhoon. That is the canard-based Delta Wing supersonic multi-role aircraft, supercalifragilistic, if you can say that fast. It is a product of shrinking defense budgets and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, it is a good airplane. Don't get me wrong. I actually think the Eurofighter is good, but it's a product of these systems as they've gotten more expensive. And we're going to talk a little bit about what the Ukraine situation is doing to everything about what's happening with multi-role, multi-mission aircraft. So the Eurofighter, its first flight was in 1994. It was introduced in 2003. There are 609 of them built with 7 prototypes. I'm going to hold up probably what I would say is the most comparable aircraft to it. Some can argue that if you want, but throw up the plan view of an F-16. Greg in post-production can throw up a plan view of the Eurofighter. Now, the Eurofighter is a consortium of a whole bunch of industrial and aerospace folks in Europe, Airbus, BAE, and Leonardo. And it didn't start out that way. Originally, it started out as far back as 1971, where the British were thinking about replacing the Jaguar, or how do the British say it? Jaguar, but help me here, Jason. For our British friends, we love you, and we're only separated by a common language.
And we all drive Jaguars.
But the idea was in 1971 is they wanted to replace the Jaguar, and what they were thinking about initially was a air superiority fighter. Now, as things went on, the airplane got truncated and truncated and truncated, and that's happened with just about everything. We talk about the F-16, which does a lot more ground support and multi-mission roles than it was originally slated to do, but really the function of that is as these systems have gotten more expensive, they've had, and I've used the term before, they're kind of Swiss Army knife airplanes, right? They have to do a whole bunch of things. Some of them are very good at a few things, but masters of none. And now what we're moving away from, the F-22 is probably the first line. And, you know, you can argue with me about the Chinese or the Soviet designs, but the reality is they've not been deployed in any real numbers. They don't have the operational history of the F-22. The F-22 is truly the dominant air superiority fighter, and you know we've got aircraft coming behind it, the 47, this F-47 that is coming behind it, this air superiority, air dominance aircraft. We don't really know what it is. They have a rough idea. We'll talk about that at some point. But the idea was at that time, back in the 70s, that you had dedicated bombers, dedicated fighters, dedicated heavy bombers, dedicated air refueling platforms, and so on and so forth. As budget shrunk, everybody was trying to get these things to do all of these at the same time. Probably the most glaring example of that I can think of in the American world is when they got rid of the the Ka-6, the tankers, and they went to F-18s. The early F-18s had very, very short range, short legs, and they were buddy tanking these things off of other first-generation F-18s. Well, the reality of that is the Ka-6 was never a first-line fighter, and what you end up doing is you're taking first-line fighters and turning them into flying gas cans, which doesn't make much sense. That's all been kind of resolved. The Navy's gotten beyond that, but that was that starting of that kind of Swiss Army knife approach. All the services did it. The Eurofighter is no difference. The Typhoon. Now let's talk about the name a little bit. The name, the Germans did not like the name Typhoon. Jason, why do you think that is? Because the Typhoon during the war bombed we'll use a technical term, bombed the crap out of them during the war. They didn't really like it. They eventually kind of lost the argument. There was another name that the Germans didn't like either, and that was the Spitfire II, which I would have done. I think there's only the Spitfire. I don't know that you could ever make it two. I could see doing the Typhoon, but they eventually kind of, as they truncated this down in 1983, they kind of headed off down this road to create what we know now is the Typhoon. If you're looking up just for technical terms at home, look up Air Staff Target 403, and that'll give you really the genesis of the Typhoon, or this Eurofighter. Now, the problem with it was always money, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But first, we're going to do our salute. And our salute today is to our NATO allied air forces. And you say, why are we doing that? Well, they are a force multiplier for the United States. They're the first ones. They're dealing with a lot of weird stuff over in Europe right now with Ukraine, and they've just stepped up the spending in NATO. The NATO pilots are absolutely terrific. So to our NATO pilot allies, I want to say thank you for what you do. You've been great allies, and you're up on the front lines, especially with what's going on with Ukraine right now. We salute you. And we salute you with a Henry Weinhard's Vanilla Cream, a gourmet soda. You're serving. Now this feels like it might have been chilled. Did you actually? You didn't. I didn't think so. You torture me. You never chill these. It has 180 calories. I'm pretty proud of it. Has a California cash refund, so I shouldn't die from this one. So we'll give it a shot. We'll go ahead. To all our NATO counterpart pilots, I salute you.
Henry Weinhard was a German-American man. He emigrated from Germany in 1951, and in 1956 opened up a brewery.
You know, Jason, for not being chilled, that's not too offensive. You have failed in your mission. So the Eurofighter, now, believe this or not, the Typhoon is already slated to be replaced. It is a twin-engine aircraft. It fulfills all the roles, but with these sixth-generation aircraft, the information systems, you can only stick so much stuff into these airframes, and then eventually you just got to go with a new platform. Hence what we're doing with the F-35, which is an integrated system. So far, what we've seen of the F-35 in combat, although it has not run into any real, what I would say, credible opposition in the air, it most likely has run into some Russian-designed Su-300s and Su-400 anti-aircraft systems, but we haven't really seen it run into anything that I would say is credible opposition. But having said that, our friends at Lockheed Martin and the Skunk Works and all that have developed an excellent platform, and it seems to be performing very well. So aside from the fact that eventually these aircraft, and I would say a comparable airplane to this, and again, you could argue with me, is the F-16, probably the most comparable aircraft to the Typhoon. Where we're headed now is there's a very big debate, and this will impact whatever goes beyond the Typhoon, is what's going on in Ukraine with unmanned systems. And, recently, if you're following any of this, what I'm sure a lot of the folks who watch what we do are following it, what the Ukrainians just did to the Russian bomber fleet, and what they've managed to really do is putting Russian frontline air assets under tremendous threat. It's a very dangerous environment. And then just yesterday, I was reading that a helicopter was brought down by a drone. So these things are really expensive. And if we have adversaries that no longer have to build these expensive anti-aircraft systems, and you're chasing these things around with drones, now aircraft moving this fast, I think, would be, as an F-16 or a Typhoon, would be difficult. But rotary wing aircraft, helicopters, would be very vulnerable to something like this. So I'd say stay tuned on the unmanned systems. And I would think that it's quite possible that will impact all of the 6th generation systems going forward. So the Germans, the Italians, the Spanish are all working on a 6th gen, and possibly I think the British are going to be involved in that. But whether or not their development time is so long. If you look at the first flight of this aircraft was in 1994, and it really didn't deploy until 2003 in any numbers. If you think about a decade of development, a lot can happen. And I'd say these unmanned systems are going to be having a big impact on air forces around the world for some time to come. And that is the Typhoon. So we're going to go ahead and put this on our spindle here. Now, if you have been following us, we have an expedition around the Rabaul area, New Guinea, and that area there, that is looking for downed World War II aircraft, specifically a B-17E, and also Amelia Earhart's airplane, under the premise that she didn't ditch and she turned around. Now, you may agree with that, you may not agree with that. She may be fish food, and she ended up ditching. She may have died on the island as a castaway. She may have turned around, who knows? But we're going to be breadcrumbing things out here for about the next 2 weeks, and you see some of that on our YouTube channel and on our various social media outlets, so go check that out. And if you want, there is a link here to Expedition Amelia 2025, and click on that and you get one of those shirts, become a supporter. The funds for this go to support our Women in Aviation program, and so we encourage you to do that and pick up one of these shirts. They're sporty, they'll make you 10 miles an hour faster. Now, if you are teaching the kiddos at home, look into the links down below this video. You can click on a link and download a free education guide. There's a couple of them in there. They go all the way through the beginning of flight, all the way to stealth aircraft, so you can do that. We cannot do all of this and standing in front of a ME-262, which was the first effective operational combat jet. We cannot do all this without your donations. Click on that link and donate a few bucks. We can surely use it. If you like these kind of one-take, very quick hit aircraft videos, which we do on our channel, give us a like, give us a comment. We really appreciate your feedback. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Rise to the blessed day, all my fears have gone away. I guess this means I'm here to stay. Yeah, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Wasn't long ago I shook at the thought of being hooked. But ever since I wrote my book, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Come along and join us, we can plug you in a simulator.